everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to EduAdvisor's webinar series, part of the EduAdvisor Virtual Education Fair, where academicians and industry professionals will weigh in on a number of topics, ranging from choosing the education pathway to jobs and careers. My name is Nina. I'm your host for today, and with an exciting lineup of speakers, we'll weigh in on a variety of topics such as the job market in a post-pandemic world, today for the future careers in 2024, as well as the future of learning in a digital world. Today we have Robin Conrad, Digital Marketing Lead Trainer at Redbeat Academy, to be sharing with us about the job market in a post-pandemic world. I have our speaker in. Hi Robin, how
Hey,
are you?
hey, Nina. How are you? How are you? All
Hi,
good. By the way, really
I'm
loving
good.
your nose ring.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Um, I hope you've had your lunch already. It's already 2 p.m. It's gonna be quite an hour of you just presenting, so hope you're all set for the day. Um,
Absolutely,
All right,
absolutely.
great. Just a quick background about our esteemed speaker today. Robin has more than 10 years experience as a digital marketer. He's a digital marketing strategist at heart with a taste for high value, data driven online campaigns. He's well versed in the areas of SEO, SEM, social media marketing, content marketing, and email marketing. He has upskilled entire marketing departments and brought significant increase in revenue with clients he's worked with. Now, before we begin, to our live audience watching, if any questions for Robin, do leave a comment and we'll get them answered at the end of the session. So don't forget to check out Redbeat Academy's virtual booth while you're at the fair. Robin, whenever you're ready, but before that, let us just have a quick look and see what Redbeat Academy has prepared for you.
Looking for the next step in your digital career? Redbeat Academy will lead you the way. Get a head start with our comprehensive and compact courses. Be industry ready in no time and start building your digital career. Choose from our wide variety of courses like digital marketing, data analytics, software engineering, and more to upskill or reskill yourself. Redefine your digital journey with Redbeat Academy today at redbeatacademy.com.
All right, there you have it, a quick look into Redbeat Academy. Robin, whenever you're ready, I'm going to pull your slide into the screen. And whenever you're ready, you can just take it away.
All right. Thank you so much for the introduction, Nina. So, welcome, guys. Well, today's topic is on the job market in a post-pandemic world. Now, of course, quite clearly, it's disrupted a lot of things since the pandemic has started, especially when it comes to our incomes, right? And in this case, guys, what I'm going to do is kind of just show you a little bit, give you a bit of an overview and what it was like before the pandemic, during the pandemic, as well as after the pandemic. But um, the real conclusion that I'm going to be drawing from this is, what is it that you guys can do to basically secure your future career? All right. So, although, as Nina has mentioned earlier, although I'm a digital marketer by trade, matter of fact is with a lot of the clients that I worked with, part of the job also comes at looking or recruiting other digital marketers for their companies. So and there's been a big difference, guys. There's been a huge difference with how, in terms of the pace in recruitment that was happening pre-pandemic, as compared to where we are right now. So excuse me. So let's see what it has done. Now we know, of course, it's done a lot of, well, mostly on the negative side, but I would also like to think there was a lot of positives that was drawn from the pandemic. All right. How we want to go about weighing those two things, I guess that part is debatable, right? But in terms of the positives that we can look is that some way the pandemic has accelerated a lot of things that we would otherwise have taken for granted in the area of technology. So no longer, the voices where they say, what, I don't need to do, online campaigns, or I don't have to do things regarding to tech. People still want to go about things in a very physical type of nature, hence like visiting a shop, for example, and that overall experience that can never be replaced. Well, COVID, I think, would strongly disagree to that. All right, a lot has changed, but even more so now is that a lot of us are being put in a very tight spot in terms of how is it that we can go about to better not only just secure our future, but also in terms of a strategy for our future career. So I'm going to be sharing all of these things with you guys, just to give you guys ways. I'm assuming most of you are either fresh grads, perhaps final year students, looking at what to do next. And I think today's session, we're going to find a lot of pretty interesting insights, a lot of it drawn from my own personal experiences as well, being in the industry for over 10 years. So let's check out some stats first, right? Right. Let's go and paint basically a clear picture on what is actually going on. So first things first, we can see this is the global job market in the first 3 months when COVID hit. All right. So you can see here at the top of the chart, you have your between 2007 and 2008, within the first couple of months, right? This is how it impacted during the global financial crisis, all right? And this is us here, guys, right? COVID-19. So by no means this is a joke, right? By no means this is something, to be taken lightly, right? And in a lot of cases, not a lot of people are very, I would say not too alert about the real consequences that's actually happening in the job market today. And now we look at the Malaysian unemployment rate due to COVID-19. So we can see that in the beginning of last year, right? You remember the lockdown, which hit around March of 2020, right? So in the beginning of that, the employment rate was approximately around 3.3%, right? Which is quite average. It's been like that for decades, all right? But since around approximately the middle of 2021, this is when businesses started to realize they could no longer afford certain salaries because certain jobs just became redundant like that, right? Literally like that. It's like as if someone snapped their fingertips and say, hey, right, your skills are no longer relevant to our business needs, and hence we don't need you, right? Some of the most hurtful things you could probably hear from your employer. But you can see here, it's contributed to 5% of unemployment. And this is in the middle of 2021. So as the months went by, more people were getting let go. And it's a decent jump, not so much in the percentage sense, right? But we can see that approximately 150,000 people between the beginning of 2020 to where we are right now today, 150,000 people have lost their jobs. All right, and the graph looks to be sort of steadying right now because a lot of us are taking things such as pay cuts, right? 20, 30, 40%, some even 50% pay cuts. Matter of fact, we have our C-level managers here at AirAsia who are not even taking any salaries, right? So, and that's what's helping us keep our jobs for the most part, but it does come at a huge sacrifice. And mostly it's due to the fact that a lot of the jobs that you have today have not been taken into account in the technological aspect of things. Like, for example, a guy that's doing, I don't know, let's say, teaching at tuition centers, for example, right? Someone who's teaching at tuition centers. What you see there is that, where little kids and parents of these kids would be very used to sending their child into tuition centers, right? And there was a whole plan around that, right? COVID hit, all that stopped. We had the lockdown, we have MCO, so all of that stopped, and then we had to lean towards virtual learning. Now, matter of fact, even then, you have a lot of tuition teachers who are struggling, especially to keep the attention of kids. And what happens is you have a dip as a business. These tuition centers, they get a dip in their revenue, and a lot of parents will end up looking at alternative solutions to teach their kids a little bit more useful things, at least in this day and age. So, and that's just one example out of many, many, many examples that exist out there. Of course, in AirAsia, matter of fact is, it is largely an airline, and we cannot fly as often as we had pre-pandemic. So, with that said, even pilots are struggling. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have also heard stories, right, about pilots looking at different ways to earn an income. I believe there's one very good story, pretty interesting story about one such pilot who's based out of Shah Alam who opened a burger stall, right? Just to sustain themselves. Some pilots are even delivering on Grab for that matter. So you have all kinds of these different examples that are happening here right now. But at the same time, what you do see is also solutions being implemented to help these certain individuals to upskill or reskill themselves. But more on that slightly later. Okay. So 150,000 people, right? If you look at it, I guess, in the context of population, right? By the way, 5%, it's 5% of the workforce, okay? 5% of the 5% of the population who are unemployed. So you might think, okay, 150,000, that doesn't seem too much, right? But then if you take into context the amount of people who are being furloughed, the amount of people who are getting pay cuts, et cetera, then that number really adds into the millions, all right? So as fresh grads or final year students, then, I would say probably at this point in time, the most important question you could ask yourself is, how do I prepare for my future career? And quite clearly, this is the only way. Now, of course, education in this case is power. But how you go about education is where the main differences are. So you might be thinking, is this considered regular education? But if you look at reskilling and upskilling, it's in a way you could call it a type of education, except that it's a lot cooler. All right, and I'll explain to you why. Right, it's cooler. Why would you go for trainings as opposed to universities, or how can I kind of put both of these things into one single mixed bag? So let's look at some of the differences here and how we can go about it to prepare ourselves for the job market in the future. So we have two options here. Typically, we have two options here, right? We have tertiary educational institutions, such as your colleges, your universities, and then you have your training centers, right? Whether they're professional training centers, vocational training centers, industrial training centers, there's quite a few out there. And these are some of the questions we've got to ask ourselves. These are very, very important questions we have to ask in order to know, what is it that suits me best, essentially. So here are 5 questions, which I basically put out for you guys to help answer, but we're going to go through some of these questions together as well. So what functions better in this day and age? Now, I don't want to be put in this position where I have to say one is good and one is bad, because that's not at all the case. I would say they serve different purposes, right? More so than one being better than the other. Now, in this day and age, right, there has been I'll be completely honest with you guys. The training industry has boomed. All right, it has completely exploded, not just here in Malaysia, but throughout the world. All right, for that matter, and there's got to be a good reason for that, right? There's got to be a good reason. So, for the first question, in terms of how it functions better in this day and age, is quite simply in terms of time. All right, time commitment. Right. We go to a college, we go to a university, and yes, your degrees, your credentials that you get after it is important because that opens doors, right? Essentially, it's your paper that you get after your degree is a key in a sense, all right? But at the same time, as important as it is to unlock doors in the industry, it's just as important to be able to contribute at the highest level to the company that you choose to be employed in. So you have to ask yourself in this case, now that I've graduated, now how shall I go about it? Shall I go and spend 4 years at a university, not being, for the most part, right? Speaking to a lot of kids out there, I would probably say a solid 70-80% of us have no idea what we want to do, right? We have not a single clue what we want to do. Most of the time, it's based on certain influences, mostly from our parents, right, or our relatives or our friends. But to go and spend 4 years, you have in a lot of cases, a lot of people make this mistake, myself included, right? What happens is we spend such a long time, doing a degree, finding out later on that this is not what we actually want to do in the long term. This is not something that we're actually passionate about. And at the same time, we also see that, the skills that I've learned in XX university or XX college doesn't seem to be as relevant in the industry as it used to perhaps 20, 30 years ago. All right. So this is the one difference, I would say the primary difference in terms of tertiary education institutions and training centers is that tertiary educational institutions, they tend to have very little wiggle room when it comes to developing courses from the get-go and courses which are relevant to the industry today and perhaps tomorrow. Whereas educational institutions, it's a bit of a longer process if they wanted to introduce certain courses into their programs. So if you look in a case of a training center, then you're spending a very short period of time compared to, let's say, 4 years. You'll be spending 4 months at a fraction of a cost to learn exactly what you need to know that is high in demand within the industry. So that's probably one of the first things I would highlight in terms of the differences between the tertiary education as well as training centers. And the second question here is in terms of educational requirements that fulfill your purpose. Now, of course, right, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be an engineer, right, then basically if you're listening to what your parents want you to be, then chances are you'll probably end up at a university. But here's the thing. Is it what you want to do, right? Is it, because at the end of the day, it's, growing up, I did not realize that, matter of fact, I had more than just 10 options, right, in terms of a career. I did not know that. When I was, I think, 16, 17 years old, right? There's a handful of things, I was like, okay, I only had, 5 options, right? But as the deeper you are, the deeper you are in the industry, the more experience you are in the industry, you start to realize there are millions of options out there, guys. Millions and millions of options, whether it's tech related or non-tech related. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do, but you got to first figure out what is it that you want to do. All right, and once you figure that out, then you start to realize, like, wait, if I want to be a programmer, right? If I want to be a software engineer, then is 4 years really worth the time and money? All right, is it really worth all of that effort? And which brings me to my third point, right? Which is the ROI and costing. All right, let's assume you take a loan, right? A PTPTN loan, or let's assume that your parents perhaps are wealthy, right? And they pay for fees. Now, either way, whether it's a public or private university, right, there will be certain costings to it, and also because of the long duration. Now, at the end of the day, education should be seen as a form of investment, a personal type of investment, and how we go about calculating that in terms of numbers will be highly important. Now, for instance, let's say if you spend within 4 years, you spend about 100,000 ringgit, right, and doing whatever course it is that you want in a university, a decent university, right? So let's say it costs you 100,000 ringgit, and you start to think that as soon as you graduate, your first job, not so long after you graduate, you're only getting about perhaps the average salary, which is 2.5, right? I would say 2,500, between 2,000 to 3,000 ringgit, right? Some even lower, all right? But let's say in this case you have a degree, so your entry level salary will be between 2,000 to 3,000 ringgit. Now, if you do the math, all right, how long will it take you? How many months will it take you for you to break even for that 100,000 ringgit that you spent on? All right, so that's the number one thing you got to think about. Now, in the case of a training center, it's a one-off payment and costs you just a few $1,000s. It doesn't cost you a lot, and it's a lot more targeted. It's a lot more specific in the sense that, look, listen, these are the requirements in the industry right now. All right, this is the type of skill sets that the industry is demanding right now. All right, and here are the courses for it. All right. So when for a fact that you're spending just a fraction of the cost, and at the same time, at a fraction of the time, then it will only take you a handful of months to finally break even with what you've actually invested in yourself, right? In terms of your education. So that's some of the pros and cons, and you got to remember that this is something that it's like more of a story I just wanted to share. Back when I was in university and we were given textbooks, right? I graduated in 2010, by the way. All right. So when we were given textbooks, a lot of the textbooks that I've read were from the mid 90s, right? Sorry, the mid 1990s, right? So 95, 1996. And, that got me really thinking, like, here I am, 2006, 2007, reading something that's more than 10 years old. Um, and it was a little bit frustrating for me, to say personally, right? And so a lot of the things that were taught to us, we started realizing, wait a minute, all this stuff we can learn online completely for free. All of this stuff, a lot of it is actually completely outdated. Some of the things don't even apply anymore. Why am I still learning this, right? But again, it's not always entirely the fault of the tertiary educational institutions, but rather the stringent processes that's required out of tertiary education institutions, right? So unfortunately, it's one of those things that doesn't allow universities to be agile in terms of the in terms of the relevancy of the courses that they teach to their students, right? And it's the complete opposite for training centers. So for training centers, they are essential skills that is required not just by industry but by the economy as well. All right, and credentials. So you might be thinking, well, I would rather have a degree as opposed to just a regular certificate. Yes, you would be right to think that. But here's the thing that I guess not a lot of people know is that in the case of Redbeat Academy, we offer micro credentials which are recognized by by certain tertiary educational institutions. All right, meaning to say they're actually transferable credits, whereby if you, let's say, want to do, you want to get a degree as well as a couple of certificates on the side, you want to stand out from the crowd a little bit more, then you can do both, right? This is where basically you can kind of include both tertiary as well as training, tertiary education as well as training centers into one single bag. Who are the type of people who might want to do this? You might ask. For example, if you want to pick up a course in data science, right? Now, in Redbeat Academy, we offer a course in data science. So let's say if you wanted to actually take a short course or you want to take bite-sized courses, which is what we're offering here at Redbeat Academy, for a couple of hours just to get to know, various different knowledge perspectives on certain key topics regarding data science, then you've got training centers for that, right? So while you're actually studying in your degree to become a data scientist, you could also then have additional credits from external training centers such as Redbeat Academy to add on to your credits so that you could not only get that very important piece of paper at the end of the day, but also get the relevant skill set in terms of what is actually being taught, what is actually being used in the industry today. All right. So then we should look to the future. So we know now in this case, a lot of people are finding different ways to remain relevant in the job market. And while some are trying to upskill and reskill, they're looking at other ways of sustaining themselves, right? Like we see the gig economy that just suddenly exploded. So you have a lot of people who are suddenly baking cookies, right? And baking cakes and whatnot. And a lot of people hopping on, delivery companies, right, as delivery riders. So there's a lot of things that people are doing, and in the meantime, what we don't realize is that while they're doing these things, they're actually going through certain courses in order to stay relevant once the pandemic has slowed down. So if it's anything the pandemic has actually done, guys, it's been a catalyst in terms of technological progress. What I mean to say is that had the pandemic not happened, I think most of us would be very cozy, very comfortable with whatever it is that we're doing, and it'll just be business as usual. Now, the pandemic, it has disrupted that big time. And what we see now is there's a rush, there's kind of a hurry, right, to make sure that, whatever it is that we do is well thought out or well thought through. So we got to be thinking about different ways of, how can we basically fit ourselves into this bigger picture, that bigger picture being the economy, all right, the Malaysian economy. So where do we fit in that, right? It's one huge big machine. A lot of the parts have changed because of the pandemic. Now, where do you fit in? Where do you belong in this big machinery, right? Now, what we do see is, in terms of tech skills, is that a lot of young fresh grads or final year students start to realize, like, oh, I want to be a designer, or I want to be this, I want to be that. And as important as it is to do what you're passionate about, right, there's got to be also a place for thought when it comes to seeing what, how can I turn what is it that I'm passionate about in a way that it is relevant to the economy. And anything, when I say in regards to relevant to the economy, usually it always involves, a sprinkle of tech. All right. So as a designer, all right, or even as a digital marketer, or it doesn't matter whatever it is that you might be passionate about, there has to be quite quite an extensive level of technology being included into the picture as well. So it's not something to be ignored. And as you can see right here, there will be accelerated demand for tech skills. So people are stealing talent, right? Companies are doing this all the time. They're stealing talents from different companies. They're importing talent from different countries. But what we really, I mean, it's okay for the short term, but in the long term, it could potentially have negative consequences. And companies and businesses know this. All right, they're very well aware of this. And in the case of AirAsia, hence the establishment of Redbeat Academy, we realized, you know what, why not train people instead, right? Why not give that people the opportunity to become relevant in the job market? So we see that demand already increasing in today, right? There's a lot of demand for people in the digitization or technology field. But as the pandemic dies down, it's not going to slow down. There will still be continuous demand for tech skills within the nation, and at the same time, businesses will also compete for you, right? So that's one of the differences. You get to this point where like as a fresh grad, I got no experience, right? What can I do? How do I stand out? And that's when I say, and I've told a lot of my younger friends this as well. Sometimes 20 certificates in an area that you specialize in carries a lot more weight than just one single degree. All right. And I can guarantee you this, guys, if you bring about that real industrial experience, although at a young age, of course, without a doubt, you're going to be favored compared to those who just have a degree. Um, Companies know this, all right? Big businesses know this, right? They put their money, they rather invest in people who have certain values that they are confident they can contribute towards the company's overall growth. So that's why competition for such talent will also increase. It's I would say it's increasing gradually since the beginning of the year, but so far it hasn't slowed down. And by the looks of it, it's definitely going to keep increasing in the years to come. Right. So don't forget, guys, we're a bit in a rush. All right. The economy is a little bit in a rush. We're trying to get as much technological skill sets, people with technological skill sets, available to work straight away. And last but not least, also, the government and business supporting and investing in tech industry. So you find a lot of cases now, governments are giving out digitalization grants. You also have, businesses who are now looking at investing, or even VC firms who are looking at investing in tech startups. All right, it's actually a very good time. If you're a startup founder and you're in tech, the last 2 years have probably been pretty good for you, right? But in a lot of cases, now people are starting to realize the importance that this online space has, that it's only going to keep increasing as well. So if you put this again, into perspective, all these 3 points into perspective, what you actually find is, again, there's a clear direction in terms of where we need to go, or in terms of how you need to be planning your future career. All right. So, and this is just one thing I wanted to show you guys real quick. It is, 1 second, let me just share this screen here. Give me 1 second, guys. So what I wanted to share here is actually the critical occupations list. And quite interestingly, let me see if I can, here we go. All right. And yeah, so this is a report done in 2019, 2020, but this basically shows what the economy wants in terms of skill sets, right? So some of you might be thinking, oh, I want to play it safe because I'm not so sure yet. Or some of you might be thinking, I'm just listening to what my parents are telling me to do. Or some of you might say like, oh, a lot of people seem to be making a lot of money doing crypto. So I just want to do crypto and that's it, right? Now, whatever it is, here's one thing. If you follow what the economy is looking for, then there's really no worries in the sense of you know will I ever be irrelevant in the job market in the future to come. All right, so let's look at some of the examples here for the critical occupations list. This is a list that's released by Talent Corp, by the way, and it shows a lot of really good stuff in terms of what you can think about, right? It serves also as a great benchmark. And Redbeat Academy, we actually offer some of the courses in some of these areas. So like, for example, you'll see over here, information and communications technology. And here we can see in detail what exactly are those areas, right? So we see, for example, here, software development. That's also a course that we offer. And we look down, or you see all kinds of, like, bet you guys didn't know, there was a demand for geologists and geophysicists, right? I'm pretty sure not a lot of us knew that, right? Mathematicians, actuaries, statisticians. Uh, it's a long list. We can go through. I mean, it's a very, very long list. So to get this list, by the way, guys, what you got to do is just visit dosm.gov.my and go over to the critical occupations list and see some of the things that you might be interested in over there. Okay, let me just go back to my slides. 1 second. All right. So with all that being said, then how does Redbeat Academy fit into all of this? Now, Redbeat Academy, we're purely focused on the area of technology. And there's still a lot of room, there's still a lot of growth when it comes to technology within the industry itself. So we're constantly on the eye, keeping an eye out for pioneers in technology, people who really, really understand where to take technology and understand the fact that that the future is something in which has to be brought to the present, right? It's not so much a journey forward, but rather something that has to be brought over here. So looking for people that have the capacity in bringing the future to the present. And one of the things that Redbeat Academy does is, purely focusing on technology, is all the skill sets, as mentioned here, which are taught are actually in high demand, meaning companies throughout Malaysia are in desperate need of these certain technological skill sets, all right? And at the same time, as opposed to spending 100,000 ringgit on your university, you end up only spending, let's say, 10,000 ringgit for a 4 or 5 month course, right? With Redbeat Academy. So a fraction of the time at a fraction of the cost. And it only takes, it doesn't take more than 5 months. And the cool thing is that, even if you don't want to actually participate in the long course, we offer, literally a supermarket of bite-sized courses from various different course outlines, various different learning tracks, whether that be data science, whether that be UI, UX, whether that be digital marketing or software engineering, whatever it is, right? Or cloud infrastructure. Now, the best part here is that you have to think at the end of the day, as a person, we're not reliant on just one type of skill set, okay? The future, and this is what some universities are coming to see right now, is that people are more than capable of attaining more than just one skill set, right? So for example, like myself, yes, I'm a digital marketer, but that doesn't mean I can't do design, although not very good at it, admittedly, right? But it doesn't mean that I can't do design work, right? It doesn't mean I can't do other things as well. It doesn't mean I can't do data visualization, right? We can do a bunch of these different things, and that's one of the absolute beauties of Redbeat Academy, is that I can take up, a topic, a very specific topic in cybersecurity, or at the same time, I can pick up a topic at digital marketing the following week, and then something in data science, and the next thing I know is that in terms of my breadth of knowledge, I have a very decent idea on what that technological spectrum looks like. And then from there, see what are some of the stuff that I might be passionate about. All right. And guess what, guys? One of these courses, it literally costs as much as your dinner. Okay. All right. They don't cost a lot at all. It's, some are 30 ringgit, 40 ringgit, 50 ringgit. For just a few hours in the day. You have nothing to lose, but one of the biggest, most important advice I would give you in that regard is to explore as many things as you can, especially at such a young age. I wish when I was young, I was given that same opportunity, to see how truly big my options are, how wide my options are, which unfortunately I was not being given that perspective. But in this case, in Redbeat Academy, for just a few bucks here and there, you can literally learn, pretty much all the biggest components within technology within a week. All right. Of course, not in depth, but rather to kind of understand or have an overview of, what's some of the stuff that's happening right now in the industry, right? Because you just came out of university, right? One of the difficult thing is to navigate, what's going to happen next, and we want to play it as safe as possible, right? For good reasons, right? For good reasons. So it's about, how can we actually figure out a way or a strategy to better prepare or plan ourselves to know can we go about my future career, right? And at the same time, also in the case of Redbeat Academy, all of the trainers in Redbeat Academy are epic. There's really no words to describe how amazing the trainers are at Redbeat Academy. All right, you have some guys who have been in the industry. For example, we have Mr. Rama, who's our cybersecurity trainer, and he has consulted for governments. All right, and guess what? He's a trainer here at the academy. All right, these are the type of people you get access to, right? And like yesterday, we had my partner, right, my colleague Shai, who runs her own branding studio, right, who's got clients all over the world, right? So you have so many of these different examples of amazing trainers who are not just there to teach, right, but who are there to show you the ropes of the industry. All right, people who are there to give you the real insight, all right, with no BS, okay, the real insight to what's actually going on in the industry, how it can go about it, and how these skill sets can better position yourselves within the job market, all right. And the other thing is, assuming, let's say, you do the full learning track or whatever, then you'll also gain access to Google's and AirAsia's ecosystem, right? Don't forget, guys, Redbeat Academy is kind of developed with between Google and AirAsia. All right, so at the same time, you have, for example, in Google, we have a representative from Google who's working very closely with us. Her name is Shin Mei. Shout out to Shin Mei, long time no see. All right, and in this case, if there's anything that we want to do, that Google can also support you with that, as well as AirAsia. All right, and once all of that is done, even more so, is that you gain access to these trainers even after you're done with them. All right, so it's not a one-off thing whereby, okay, I go to a class, I listen to the trainer, he finishes in 2-3 hours, and then that's a goodbye. It's definitely not the case. You have access to us pretty much anytime if you needed help. Perfect example was I managed to get a student in the long learning track who's a first officer, all right? Who's a first officer. So I managed to get him a job at an agency, all right? So you actually get mentorship and that industry network when you take up classes with us. All right. So just to summarize this, guys, all right? Now, there's 4 key takeaways that I basically want to leave with you guys. So one of the first things here is that you got to look to the future and observe technological gaps, right? Now, wherever it is that we go, even though it's AirAsia or Google, there's always going to be room for improvement, all right? It's about who's going to be the guy, all right, that's going to be adding value to that, right? Who's going to be the guy that's going to be contributing to these gaps, right? Who's going to be the ones looking out for these opportunities, but at the same time improving upon them as well. And, you know, as a way in terms of recommending how you can go about finding the tech skill that you love, right? It's just like I mentioned earlier, just, dabble in few courses. You have nothing to lose, absolutely zero to lose, right? Just dabble, get your hands a little bit dirty in data science and cybersecurity and digital marketing, whatever it is, right? If you're not sure. And most importantly, in this case, that has economical value. Now, in Redbeat Academy, that's not something you don't have to worry about, because all the courses that we actually teach in the academy is what the economy needs. All right. So that's how we came about developing the courses that we have today. And, don't just focus on one area. Your brains, the human brain is capable of so much more. All right. We can do a whole bunch of stuff that, we don't have to limit ourselves, basically, right? You don't have to limit yourself to one particular skill. In the case of even digital marketing, where there's a lot of different skill sets within the digital marketing spectrum, doesn't mean that you can, you got to know just one area and one area only. It's important to know a bit of everything, but you can always find that one thing that you specialize in. All right. And this is one of the ways in terms of how you can stand out from the crowd. Because think about it this way, guys. All right. If you go to an interview, right, you talk to your employer, and your employer says, he's looking for a digital marketing candidate, for example, and you do digital marketing, and your employer asks, is there anything else that you do? And you say, well, yes, actually, yes. I do Photoshop and I use Illustrator as well. I was like, oh, no, really cool. But at the same time, I'm also a videographer and I can edit videos. Right now, for the exact same price, I would rather have a 3-in-1, right, or even 4 or 5-in-1 candidate compared to a person that's just skilled in just one particular area. Make sense, right? So that's one thing, is to kind of double down, spread your wings, spread your horizon, and fear nothing. All right, you have nothing to lose when you kind of just dabble in all different areas, especially in regards to technology. All right, and the fourth point here, which is the most important one, is one that I keep saying very often, is I'm not a big fan of soul searching, but I'm a huge fan in designing myself. Right, your faith is in your hands. Essentially, your future is in your hands, and you are the master of your future. You are the person that is to mold how you want to go about your future. Right, so don't look too much in terms of what is only out there. You got to benchmark your passion, your wants, right, your desires. You got to benchmark that. You got to ground that to the realities of the world. In this case, the realities of the economy, which right now is not very good, right? So in this case, how can I design myself in a way that I would be able to easily fit myself into the economy of the future? All right, and of course, do it with a pinch of tech. All right, and the final tip that I want to leave with you guys, right? And I hear this happening a lot, especially here in Malaysia. All right, you got your parents who are constantly, breathing down your necks, telling you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Now, unless they're economic leaders or trendsetters, then yes, you should probably take their word for it. But if they're not, then I suggest you look at other sources for inspiration. Okay, guys. So just remember, right? Your future is yours to own. And at Redbeat Academy, one of the things that we're most fond of is helping you guide your purpose, your passion, in a way that will contribute to the economy, but for your own purposes, for your own reasons, to also guarantee a kind of a safety net for the future to come. So that's all I would like to leave it at today, guys. Thank you very much. So I will pass it over back to Nina. Thank you, Nina.
Hi. All right. Hi, Robin. Thanks. Thanks much for giving us a quick peek into the job market and telling us, what are the things that students to prepare for. I think we can go over the Q&A session now. If you look at your comment side, you'll see a bunch of questions from the audience.
Okay, let's go, I guess, with the first question.
Mm-hmm.
Wait 1 second. There's quite a lot here. Let me just.
Yes. Yes. Take your pick.
Okay, Nora, I guess that's the first question, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the crucial skills a graduate needs to distinguish themselves from others? I think you kind of said it yourself here in terms of putting the S behind skill, right? So if you want to distinguish yourself from others, it's really putting the plural to skill, all right? Not one skill. Get 5 skills. Get 10 skills, all right? I mean, as a digital marketer, it depends. You gotta first find out what you're passionate about, right? If you're passionate about, let's say, design, all right? If you're into design, then one of the things you can start looking at is, well, if I like design, what can I do in the sense of, uh, videography or photography, in terms of how do I go about editing certain things? How do I be the complete full package, whereby employers just cannot resist themselves, and they look at you as complete hot stuff, right? As like a rare piece of cake, right, that they cannot eat, right? It's one of those things. So they can apply to all kinds of different areas out there, not just in design, clearly in anything. For example, as a digital marketer, if you're the type of digital marketer where you are able to create, data dashboards through Google Data Studio, but at the same time know how to use Photoshop, then automatically you're already separate. You've already distinguished yourself from the majority of the other talents that are out there. All right. So the keyword here is skill with a plural. All right. Whatever it is that you do.
All right. Thanks, Robin, for that. I think we'll move on to the next few questions.
Okay. Next one is Zulfazrina. Is Redbeat certification recognized everywhere? Now, this is a good question. By everywhere, that's what I can say. What is safe to say is that it is definitely recognized in the industry. I mean, let's be real, right? You got Google and AirAsia literally just right behind us, right? And if majority of all the big companies here in Malaysia who use Google Workspace and Google Suites, right? By default, right? If you come from the backing of Google and AirAsia, you will be recognized. And to be fair, the times when it's absolutely compulsory where you need a degree to get a job is not as important as it used to be back in the 80s and 90s, right? Now, because education, it's really unfortunate to say this, because the tertiary educational institutions have, unfortunately, to some degree, right, have kind of fallen behind in terms of what the requirements of the industries are, right? That more often than not, in this day and age, it's about what type of skill sets can you bring to the table. So if, let's say, like I mentioned earlier in my session, if I was a guy that had 1 degree versus another guy that has no degree but 20 certificates, right? Then I'm going to go with the guy that has 20 certificates, right? Right. And guess what? It takes the exact same time, right? To get 20 certificates takes 4 years. To get 1 degree takes 4 years, right? Depends, right? So in the case, is it recognized in terms of credentials? Yes. Okay. It is recognized by the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Higher Education, and it is also then recognized in the industry. All right. So it's a best of both worlds, essentially. Okay. Next question we have from Esther. Hi, Esther. So what's a growing field in the job market in Malaysia now? I just showed you guys the critical occupations list, right? And that is basically that, all right? That whole entire list will answer your question in terms of what is it that the government wants from you, right? What the government wants in order to help the economy grow further, right? So to download that piece, right, there's literally hundreds of different jobs, growing jobs out there. So you can go to dosm.gov.my, go to the critical occupations tab, and then download the PDF file, and then from there, just check it out. See if there's anything that ticks your fancy, right? Okay. Next up, we have Aina Izati, right? As a fresh grad, what courses would you recommend to upskill, especially with no working experience whatsoever? Now, I'm not here to tell you what you should be doing, okay? All right? And this goes out for everyone else, all right? We are in no position whatsoever to dictate your future, all right? Like I mentioned, it is in your hands, right? You are the one to decide what is it that you want to do. We, in the sense, are there to help support and guide you, all right? And what is it that you're passionate about? So in a case, if my best answer to this would be, first, of course, you got to look at some of the things that you're most passionate about. And if you want to play it on the slightly safer side, definitely has to be in the field of technology. All right. So some of those courses, for example, are this humongous. One of the biggest demands actually is cybersecurity, right?
Okay.
And I just heard from a friend of mine that as a cybersecurity professional, even with just 5, 6 years experience, they're making like 20, 30,000 ringgit a month. All right. All right. And we're just talking about 5, 6 years experience. And the reason for that is because in Malaysia, people like cybersecurity, what? Isn't that just putting a password on your website? Holy cow, guys, that's definitely not the
Yeah.
case. All right. It's definitely, there's a lot that goes into cybersecurity. And let's say in the case of banks and whatnot, what they tend to do though, they hire, consultation companies, which will then help them design all these frameworks for cybersecurity, et cetera, et cetera. So it depends. If you couldn't care less about what is it that you want to do, you can't decide, you just want to go make the big bucks. Cybersecurity is one of those areas where you can look into. You can literally count with two hands the number of cybersecurity experts in Malaysia from Malaysia. All right, that's how little how little people you're competing with. Right.
Right.
But then you got also your cloud infrastructure guys, right? You have your digital marketers. I'll be honest. There's, especially in this day and age, there's a bunch of them. Right, they're becoming like the doctors and the lawyers, right, the engineers. It's becoming one of those things, right? Digital marketing is very popular in that sense, because it's basically a way to be self-sustainable in how you want to make your own money. I can build a business tomorrow. If I want to bake cookies tonight, and I got digital marketing skills, of course I'm going to fare pretty well compared to people who bake cookies and don't know digital marketing, right? So in that sense, that's where digital marketing can play. So it depends what is it that you want to do, but make sure that's something that you're passionate about. If you're not really sure yet, dabble in a few courses, the bite-sized courses, take 2 hours each day, figure out what tickles your fancy, all right? And so that would be my answer for that, Aina.
Robin, I have a question
Yes.
to sort of piggyback on Anna's question.
Sure, go for it.
All right. Say if a student wants to be an educator, right? And I feel like we know that online learning is here to stay for some reason, out of conveniency, and now that
Yeah.
tech has been advancing. So, if someone wants to be an educator, what sort of course would you recommend that they could take from Redbeat Academy, perhaps, to sort of give them that added benefit to be an educator in this current situation?
Definitely, I would say digital marketing, actually. If you're looking to be an educator, right, digital marketing. And the main reason for that, to be completely frank, is if you're looking to educate, especially in the online space, right, understanding what some of the, not just the tools like what we're using right now, right, StreamYard.com, but there are literally hundreds of different tools out there in ways of how we can reach out to our audiences and to the type of people who would be interested in learning from these educators, right? So, how can we go about putting that message across, right? How do you get signups for webinars, right? Just like this, right? How do you monetize these sort of sessions, right? How do you make bucks, basically? How do you make money from these sort of things? So in that sense, digital marketing being one of the more revenue-driven skill sets out there, right? Compared to, cloud infrastructure, cybersecurity, these are more requirements from an industries, right? Digital marketing, and why it's so popular is that because I don't need to be in a company to know to be able to execute digital marketing. I don't need, I can, whatever I have, I want to sell something, if I want to offer a service, I come up with an idea tomorrow. If I have digital marketing, right, I'm really then adding tons and tons and tons of layers into how I can actually go about putting this out there and then making myself a little bit of money on the side. So that's what I would do as an educator. Probably pick up a course on digital marketing.
Okay, perfect. All right, thanks so much, Robin. I think we have one more question from the audience.
Okay, Stacy, right? So, Stacy, can you explain a bit more about the micro-credentials? How does that compare to a degree? So we actually, our dean, right, Dr. Ram, who was on yesterday, right? So he's the one that pretty much runs the show, right, at Redbeat Academy. Really fun guy, really cool guy. And what he does, he's worked super hard in trying to get the certificates recognized by the industry and as well by the university. So, for example, if as I understand here in the public educational system, I believe in the private one as well, is that your credits go according to your time, right? The time that you spend doing your hours. So you spend X amount of hours in a course in Redbeat Academy, you can transfer that into the university. So let's say if I'm already studying at, let's say, I don't know, UTM, for example, right? University of Technology Malaya, right? Let's assume I'm studying there and I have like a 1 month holiday in between, right? But I decide, you know what, I'm going to go take up a couple of courses from Redbeat Academy. Now, what we can do is then those credits that you earn after you're done with these little courses, they will be transferred back to University of Technology Malaya, whereby then you can actually get to skip certain classes or topics or whatever, or certain hours that you would otherwise have to do while you're still in university. You get what I mean? So it's kind of like spreading your credits among different
Right.
places and shortening the time span in which you then achieve your degree or your diploma or whatever. So that's how it actually is. So not to say if you want to actually get, we don't actually offer a degree per se, all right? As a training center, we don't actually offer degrees. Hey, who knows, right? Who knows? One day we might, right?
Yeah.
But at least for now, we only offer, industry recognized certificates, right? So if you go and say, look, I don't have a degree, but I've got a certificate in this, and that, that's going to be sufficient, all right? And if they wanted to check, like some employers, they might go like, what? This doesn't count, right? Then it's probably not a good company to join anyway, right? Right?
Yeah.
But right, but if you have the employers out there who will know, right, that this is definitely going to carry a lot more value, and you got to see past some of these things. Now, of course, in the educational context, yes, credits are important. Paperwork is important, right? Because this is something you will carry with you for the rest of your life, right? But even more so, more than any of that, right? You have a bunch of guys, some who are in their late, mid 30s, who are still studying. All right, who are still studying. They have no work experience. They're still studying, thinking that when they graduate, life is going to be amazing. But here's the thing, guys, that's never usually the case. All right. At the end of the day, it's what can you bring to the table? That's what your employees want to know. That's what businesses want to know. What can you bring to the table today, tomorrow, the day after? All right.
All
So
right.
that's basically one of the things to talk about. And Marcus is a friend of mine down there. No question. Just saying thanks for sharing. Yeah.
All right. Um,
Yeah. That's it for that.
I do have one more question, sort of an opinion. Actually, I was just while I was watching your slides earlier, I was kind of curious that you did mention that the pandemic sort of changed the trajectory of the workforce fully, and now whatever normal that we had before, we can sort of throw that out the window because whatever that we're experiencing now is sort of the new normal for a post-pandemic world. And we can see that people are taking multiple jobs to generate income. In your opinion, will this be a necessary thing 5 years from now? Like, will the youth need to find different ways to generate income, or will working in one organization suffice?
Yeah. So no, a few of those things will change, but it will take time.
Okay.
So it's not going to be one of those things where overnight, suddenly everything will move in a different direction. It will be a gradual shift. One of the things that I personally predict, even with the whole arrangements, for example, like working from home, right, is even once the
Yeah.
pandemic is over, right, businesses, right, CEOs and employers and whatnot, they're going to start realizing like, wait, why not? Although yes, there's no risk anymore, that they can still work from home maybe 2-3 days a week and spend the rest of the
Yeah.
other time in the office and stuff like that. A lot of things will change in that regard, but also in terms of what we expect in how we go about work is that right now, more often than not, it's absolutely common practice
Okay.
to have a full-time job somewhere, right, in a company in which you contribute your skill sets in a way they see fit, at the same time doing your own thing, right, and doing your
Right.
own thing, being something that is also revenue driven, right?
Right.
Like Chai, for example, who has her branding studio, but at the same time as a trainer at Redbeat Academy, and myself as a consultant over the past 10 years, also as a trainer, but I also do a couple of other cool, fun stuff on the side here and there as well, right? But it's all just as a way of kind of spreading your horizons a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
and more importantly, just remember that yes, job market is a job market. Yes, it will change, but more so, it's also, what are some of the things that surround you that's going to equip you for that change in direction. All right. So as a fresh graduate, for example, fair enough, you're not going to have that super strong network as you would with someone who's been in the industry for 20, 30, 40 years. Okay. But there are certain shortcuts. Okay. And this is something that I just feel, and I really wish kids knew more about, is that it's also really about the type of people that you know, but not in a sense of being selfish from those relationships, but rather to see, how is it that I can add value, right? In the case, let's say, Nina, if one day you actually end up being one of the top people in EduAdvisor, right? Maybe being the CEO of EduAdvisor, right? Then you start realizing with all the people that you meet along the lines, they're all going to play an important part,
Right.
at a certain point in time. So making sure that we're as dynamic as possible, and not to think in such a in a narrow way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to really broaden your mind in terms of, what, this is my playground, essentially, right? This is my
Right.
playground. This is where I am right now as this physical entity, right? And these are all the millions of people. These are all the different things. This guy needs help, let me go help him. This guy needs help, let me go help him. Let me go help. The more you do that, the more you support the people around you, there'll come a point in time where all of that is going to come together, and you're going to start seeing that, look, we're not just working together, but we're actually bringing huge differences to the
Right.
economy, right? And it's those kind of projects, those kind of things that gets us most excited, because then it's no longer a 9 to 6 thing anymore. Then it's about playing a much more important purpose within the nation's economy. So keeping things fresh and fluid, right, by not limiting yourself, I think this is going to be absolute key. And also not so much discovering yourself, but rather in designing yourself, creating who is it that you want to be. Yeah.
I see. All right. All right. Thanks so much, Robin. I think we've reached the end of our session. But just to wrap things up quickly, do you have any parting words of advice for students who are anxious about entering the working world right after graduating?
Yes, I would probably say don't limit yourself. All right, don't limit yourself, and go ahead and dabble in a bunch of really weird and awkward things. All right, don't be shy about it. There's no shame in it. Right, whatever it is that you want to do. Right, there's definitely, the world is much bigger than becoming a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer. All right, the world is way bigger than that. All right,
Yeah.
dabble in some of the things that you find that you're interested in. And if inspiration doesn't come to you, then hey, go make it yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Go make it yourself.
Oh.
Right. Don't go waiting and for stuff to fall in your lap. Just seek that inspiration, seek it out, and from there you'll find your purpose.
All right. All right. Thanks so much, Robin, for your insights and perspective. We hope that our audience has gained some valuable information from this session. It was also very entertaining, I believe, for me. Thank you again. It was a pleasure to have you on board with us, and hope to see you again for our next webinar if you have us, Robin.
Absolutely. Appreciate the chat, Nina. All the best. Take care. And
All right.
again, loving the nose ring. So keep
Thank
rocking
you.
that. All right.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Take care, Nina. Bye,
All right.
everyone. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
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 All right. Thank you to our audience for tuning in to our webinar session with Robin Conrad of Redbeat Academy. Up next, we have Mr. Mohammad Suyardi Omar from UC Kuala Lumpur, who will share with us on the careers of 2024. Now, don't forget to check out Redbeat Academy while you're at the virtual fair. In the meantime, let's take a look and see what Redbeat Academy has prepared for you.
Looking for the next step in your digital career? Redbeat Academy will lead you the way. Get a head start with our comprehensive and compact courses. Be industry ready in no time and start building your digital career. Choose from our wide variety of courses like digital marketing, data analytics, software engineering, and more to upskill or reskill yourself. Redefine your digital journey with Redbeat Academy today at redbeatacademy.com.
Hi everyone, good afternoon and welcome to EduAdvisor's webinar series, part of the EduAdvisor Virtual Education Fair, where academicians and industry professionals will weigh in on a number of topics, ranging from choosing an education pathway to jobs and careers. My name is Nina, and today we have Mr. Mohammad Suyardi Omar, Deputy Dean of Students Development and Campus Lifestyle, as well as Senior Lecturer from UC Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia Spanish Institute, who will be sharing with us about the careers in the year 2024. I have Mr. Suyardi in the stream. I'll just pull him in. Hi, Mrs. Erdi.
Hello, Nina. How are
Good
you?
afternoon. I'm good. How are
Afternoon.
you?
I'm good.
Okay, great. Before we begin, just a quick introduction to our esteemed speaker today. Mr. Muhammad Suyardi Omar is a Deputy Dean of Student Development and Campus Lifestyle and Senior Lecturer of Mechanical Section at UniKL Malaysian Spanish Institute. With over 10 years at UniKL as a lecturer, he's acquired a lot of experience in teaching students from various backgrounds and ages. Having experience in the machine design and manufacturing industry helped him a lot in shaping students into skilled and holistic graduates. Apart from teaching, he's also involved in student recruitment and activities and also student development at the UniKL MSI campus. He's also involved in various organizations to help students to form a student identity and student leadership through various activities with the community. Now, before we begin, to our live audience watching, if any questions for Mrs. Sirdi, do leave a comment in the comment section below and we'll get them answered at the end of the session. So don't forget to check out UniKL's virtual booth while you're at the fair. Sirdi, you can
Yes,
prepare
ma'am.
your slides. Yeah, you can prepare your slides and start sharing it, and I'll put it into the stream when you're ready. Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm gonna put into the stream now. Whenever you're ready, you can take it away.
Okay, sure, Nina. Thank you so much. Okay, terima kasih. Thank you for Nina for having us on the Advisors Virtual Education Festival 2021. Okay, again, my name is Muhammad Syuri Omar, Deputy Dean of Student Development and Campus Lifestyle in Kuala Lumpur, in Malaysian Spanish Institute campus at Kuliah Hyder Park. And then hari ini, kalau boleh, we like to share, okay, orang kata a small topic dalam perbincangan kita hari ini. Okay, allow me to speak in Malay as well because of my presentations. Okay, saya nak tunjuk kepada anak-anak, okay, audience, students, okay, berkenaan dengan masa depan dan juga kerjaya di tahun 2024. Okay, dan dalam perkongsian kita hari ini, okay, saya akan sentuh juga berkenaan dengan Universiti Kuala Lumpur, okay, sebuah universiti milik penuh Majlis Amanah Rakyat, okay, universiti wholly owned by MARA, and also a program by the UniKL, a scheme by MARA. Okay, I hope that okay, sepanjang kita bersiaran 1 jam ni, okay, dapat memberi maklumat, informasi kepada pelajar-pelajar di luar sana, okay, berkenaan dengan kerjaya, okay, di tahun 2024. Okay, kita target, okay, jika pelajar-pelajar yang mengambil keputusan SPM pada tahun 2020, okay, jika mengambil sebahagian daripada program diploma, so akan tamat. Untuk pelajar-pelajar ini perlu mengetahui tentang apa kerjaya yang menunggu sebenarnya, okay, pada tahun 2024, sebab this is a 3-year projection punya kita kata target you selepas 3 tahun selepas bergraduat pada tahun 2024. Okay, saya nak berkongsi sedikit kepada anak-anak di luar sana. Saya selalu kalau bercakap tentang pembelajaran ni, okay, kita bercakap daripada kita bermula sekolah, okay, sekolah rendah dan sebagainya, okay, dan kita ada kita panggil keep climbing, okay, sekolah from standard 1, darjah 1 sampai darjah 6, standard 1, standard 6 dan sebagainya. So then you change to sekolah menengah, okay, high school, okay, you ada a series of exam, okay, like PT3, SPM dan sebagainya. So we still keep climbing dan sebagainya. So biasanya pelajar akan merasa kita berada di puncak bila kita dah tamat pengajian kita di college or university. So itulah kita kata pengalaman ataupun moment, especially when you graduate, you convocations, that a good moment yang kita nak sharing sama parents kita dan sebagainya. Okay, but ramai yang tak perasan. Okay, they don't realize, okay, the real life actually is a very long journey. Okay, so kita ada a few years masa sekolah rendah, a few years masa sekolah menengah, dan kita ada a few years masa kita berada di universiti. But in real life, itulah sebenarnya journey you yang paling panjang. Okay, sebab tu bila dalam konteks bercakap, okay, bila nak bercakap, saya suka bercerita tentang kerjaya. Okay, saya suka bercerita tentang career. Okay, apa yang pelajar-pelajar boleh dapat, yang pelajar-pelajar perlu nampak. Okay, tadi saya dah sebut bila tajuk yang kita nak fokus hari ini adalah kerjaya pada tahun 2024. Itu adalah 3 years projection from now, 2021. So 2024, apa sebenarnya industri yang ready untuk pada pelajar akan datang. Okay, alright. So perlu diingat, okay, bila kita sebut tentang masa depan ni, bermaksud itulah sebenarnya apa yang kita decide hari ni. So apa yang you dapat hari ni, apa keputusan yang you nak buat hari ni, okay, lepasan SPM, kursus apa yang you nak ambil, okay, itulah sebenarnya kursus ataupun kita panggil bidang yang you akan menceburi nanti dalam bidang pekerjaan. Okay, that's kita panggil tahun-tahun yang mendatang yang you akan tempuh. Okay, bila bidang yang kita ambil itulah kerjaya kita nak bina kerjaya ke arah profesional dan sebagainya. Okay, saya ambil satu petikan daripada sumber Kelly Service, okay, yang dipaparkan dalam Astro Awani, okay, antara 20 pekerjaan paling popular Malaysia, but I crop satu pekerjaan yang agak menarik, okay, kita kata untuk perbincangan kita hari ini, iaitu ramai yang saya bercakap tentang konteks kejuruteraan ni because of, okay, ramai pelajar-pelajar yang agak takut, okay, dalam bidang kejuruteraan ni because of they thinking that engineering is very heavy. Okay, they thinking that takut masuk engineering nanti peluang pekerjaan ni kurang dan sebagainya. Okay, dan kat sinilah hari ni saya nak bercerita, nak buat sedikit penceritaan dan juga kita panggil perkongsian informasi berkenaan dengan program-program kejuruteraan dan juga peluang-peluang sebenarnya dalam bidang kejuruteraan. Okay, kenapa saya sebut macam ni? One thing is because of my background is engineering. Okay, yang kedua because of this is sebenarnya bidang yang you ada potensi yang cukup besar. Okay, dalam tempoh pada tahun 2016, 17, 18 dan 19 pada sebelum tu dah banyak diceritakan tentang kejuruteraan elektrikal. Okay, bila kita kata dalam trend 2016 hingga 2019 demand untuk kejuruteraan elektrikal cukup tinggi. Okay, tapi dalam kita kata supply, okay, ataupun kita kata bidang ni kebanyakan pelajar tak kurang kita kata bagi fokus kepada bidang-bidang kejuruteraan ini. Sebab okay, mungkin nampak dari segi kejuruteraan tu, okay, hanya sekadar kejuruteraan, tapi sebenarnya dari segi career ataupun industri ke mana hala tuju pelajar-pelajar selepas SPM ni cukuplah besar. Okay, so saya sentuh sedikit berkenaan dengan kejuruteraan. Salah satu bidang dalam konteks 20 pekerjaan paling popular di Malaysia pada tahun 2020 dan 2021 adalah jurutera proses, okay, jurutera mechanical dan jurutera otomasi. Okay, sebab tu hari ini kita akan kupas sedikit tentang mechanical, tentang kejuruteraan proses, okay, kejuruteraan otomasi. Okay, so kalau tengok dari segi pengalaman pun sebenarnya projection dia cukup jauh. Okay, so 5 hingga 7 tahun, okay, 4 tahun dan ke atas dan sebagainya. Dan di sini juga dinyatakan tentang gaji minimum. Sebab this is another kriteria yang student, okay, pelajar yang dia nak tengok. Okay, kalau bergraduan sebagai jurutera, so apa yang dia dapat dan sebagainya. Okay, so ada range gaji mengikut industri kita kata yang mana selepas you tamat bergraduan sebagai graduan kejuruteraan nanti, so di mana tempat industri yang you nak masuk nanti. Okay, alright, saya nak tunjuk sedikit, okay, news yang baru-baru ni dikeluarkan pada 10 Jun, okay, yang dikeluarkan di banyak di berita-berita dan sebagainya. Okay, saya nak berkongsi sedikit dengan pelajar-pelajar di luar sana tentang apa yang sebenarnya akan berada pada akan datang. Okay, kalau tengok satu daripada Australia invest 8.5 bilion, okay, untuk semiconductor production plan, nak set up satu production plan di Malaysia. Okay, dan kalau ikutkan ini adalah first plan yang ada di Malaysia. Okay, so akan dibina di Kulim High-Tech Park, Kulim Kedah. Okay, dan ada banyaklah kalau kita tengok dari segi proses yang saya sebutkan tadi yang ada akan dibuat di Kulim Park. Okay, dan akan mewujudkan, okay, 5,000 peluang pekerjaan. Okay, sebab inilah saya kata tadi kalau nak nampak dari segi projection, sebenarnya kita kena tengok dari segi sektor, bukan saja kita tengok apa yang ada di dalam, tapi tengok dari segi sektor pelaburan tu sendiri. Okay, sebab investment ni kebanyakannya daripada luar, dialah yang memberi kita peluang pekerjaan selain daripada sektor tempatan dan sebagainya. Okay, kita tengok sedikit maklumat, okay. So company ATNS fokus on the mobile device, industri, automotive, medical dan juga health technology, okay. So ada banyak lagi, okay, di Australia, India, China dan sebagainya, okay. So itu berkenaan dengan yang saya nak cuba kaitkan dengan apa yang saya nak penceritaan kita berkenaan tajuk hari ini, iaitu kerjaya pada tahun 2024. Okay, pada 10 Jun hari itu Perdana Menteri dah buat pengumuman, melalui MIDA, kementerian, ATNS telah memilih Malaysia, sebanyak pelaburan sebanyak 8.5 bilion, yang mana yang saya extract daripada petikan The Age TV tadi, pengkalan ATSS ni adalah di Australia, satu industri, semiconductor yang berhasrat untuk nak wujudkan satu production plan di Malaysia, dan kalau tengok pengeluaran dia ataupun produk dia adalah high end printed circuit board, kalau di Kulim High Tech Park ni ada banyak sebenarnya, Panasonic, kita ada Silterra dan sebagainya, alright. So according to the bernama, kalau tengok daripada sumber bernama, facilities ni akan ditempatkan di Kulim High Tech Park. Kalau kita tengok banyak sebenarnya berita-berita ni keluar di laman web MIDA dan sebagainya, dan kita kata investment ni 8.5 bilion, so dia bukannya satu angka yang kecil, bukannya angka yang kita kata sedikit, dan bila 8.5 bilion dilaburkan di Kulim High Tech Park tadi, dia akan mewujudkan lebih daripada 5,000 peluang pekerjaan. Yang ini saya bercakap tentang konteks satu pelaburan yang ada di Kulim High Tech Park. Bayangkan kalau satu company boleh melahirkan, kita kata memerlukan jawatan kosong, 5,000 orang, so bukan jumlah yang sedikit, kalau di universiti itu dalam konteks kejuruteraan saya boleh katakan tak mungkin ramai, tak pelajar di universiti tak ramai yang ambil program kejuruteraan, because of dia orang merasakan bahawa program kejuruteraan ni, satu mungkin dia orang rasa dari segi pembelajaran tu agak sukar, saya akan tunjuk konteks pembelajaran di UniKL nanti, dan juga dari segi kita panggil tadi saya sebut bila peluang pekerjaan, so hari ni saya berkongsi info satu company yang very simple, ATNS, bila kita kata nak wujudkan satu plan di Kulim High Tech Park di Kedah, Malaysia ni, boleh menawarkan sehingga 5,000 peluang pekerjaan, dan kalau tengok, kenapa saya sebut juga ATNS ni, menarik tentang ATNS ni, bila permulaan kita panggil pembinaan dia bermula pada second quarter of year 2021, maksudnya dah bermula, kita panggil construction dan dah bermula pun di Kulim High Tech Park Fasa 5 ni sebenarnya, dan dijangka berakhir pada tahun 2024 dan sepenuhnya kita kata beroperasi pada tahun 2024. Kalau tengok lepasan SPM 2020, inilah tahun you adalah tahun yang kita kata kemuncak, yang bila you bergraduan, sebagai graduan diploma dan sebagainya, antara tahun-tahun permulaan yang saya beritahu ATNS ni dah mula rekrut kita panggil kaki tangan ataupun pekerja, dan kalau tengok bila saya nak kaitkan ATNS juga, adalah pembuat komponen, terdiri daripada mobile device, industri elektronik, so banyak sebenarnya dari segi pengeluaran ATNS ni, automotive application dan juga medical dan juga health technology. So dari segi cabang, kita panggil cabang kejuruteraan tu, bila saya sebut tentang kenapa saya sebut tentang produk ataupun hasil pengeluaran oleh ATNS ni, sebab nak bagi tahu dari segi konteks kejuruteraan ni dia cukup besar. So bidang yang mana di bawah kejuruteraan tu yang kita kata kepakaran ataupun pengkhususan kejuruteraan tu yang membolehkan you all lepasan SPM memilih cabang-cabang khusus di bawah kejuruteraan tadi. So ada banyaklah kalau nak tengok peluang-peluang yang kita ada, dan saya nak sentuh juga berkenaan dengan post quarter, kita panggil prestasi pelaburan. This is under MIDA. Kenapa saya nak bercerita tentang fakta ni? Ada sektor perkilangan, perkhidmatan dan keutamaan, tapi saya nak sentuh tentang sektor perkilangan. Okey, sebab bila saya sebut tadi kejuruteraan, industri dan sebagainya, graduan kejuruteraan inilah sebahagian daripada kita panggil lokasi ataupun tempat you all, lubuk you all mencari peluang pekerjaan pada masa akan datang. Okey, pada first quarter 2021, jumlah pelaburan keseluruhan di bawah kita panggil angka MIDA, Malaysian Investment Development Authority, jumlah keseluruhan pelaburan adalah 80.6 bilion, 80.6, 80.6 bilion. So jumlah yang cukup besar. Tadi kalau saya sebut ATNS, invest 8.5, but keseluruhan pelaburan daripada apa kita panggil pelbagai industri, keseluruhan 80.6 bilion, dan daripada 80.6 bilion ni 73% adalah dalam sektor perkilangan ataupun industri manufacturing dan sebagainya. So 70%, angka yang cukup besar sebenarnya kalau kita nak tengok dari segi keseluruhan tadi. Dan kalau tengok 557 peluang pekerjaan untuk semua sektor pelaburan ni, kalau kita ambil 73%, 23,766 ni adalah untuk sektor perkilangan tadi. Dan bila saya sebut sektor perkilangan, ada lebih daripada 993 projek yang sedang dibangunkan, kita panggil pelaburan dalam Malaysia, sedang dibangunkan. Dibangunkan maksudnya dalam tempoh inilah, bermula hari ini, akan datang 2024, 25 dan sebagainya. So banyak wujud peluang pekerjaan yang saya sebutkan tadi. Dan juga kalau tengok dari segi statistik, 5 negeri utama bagi pelaburan. So one of the campus UniKL ni berada di Kulim High Tech Park itself. Kita di bawah Kulim Associate, yang mana 43 bilion daripada jumlah 80.6 bilion ni, iaitu 53.3% pelaburan tu berada di Kedah. So kalau saya sebut berada di Kedah, bermaksud keupayaan orang kata peluang pekerjaan kepada orang-orang yang berada di utara, local people, iaitu Kedah. Sebenarnya peluang pekerjaan yang cukup besar. Malah peluang pekerjaan yang diwujudkan di negeri utara ni, zon utara ni, di Kedah dan sebagainya, bukan saja tertakluk kepada orang-orang Kedah, tetapi sebenarnya peluang ni adalah untuk keseluruhan rakyat Malaysia. Bila saya sebut 23,766 sektor perkilangan, bidang ini tentang manufacturing dan sebagainya. So itulah kita panggil sektor lubuk, pelajar-pelajar kejuruteraan, dengan bidang-bidang yang you pegang tadi, mechanical, electrical, manufacturing dan sebagainya. So lubuk you untuk masuk kepada sektor-sektor perkilangan tadi. So berdasarkan fakta MIDA ni, sebenarnya inilah kita kata gambaran awal yang nak mengatakan bahawa program kejuruteraan ni mempunyai demand pada masa akan datang. Bila sebut pelaburan, maksudnya ia memerlukan jangka masa yang panjang. Kalau saya sebut tadi ATNS, kalau hari ini pertengahan second quarter of year 2021, dah start develop construction, dia dah develop, fully operate under 2024, dijangka fully operate 2024, dan ada 5,000 peluang pekerjaan dalam sektor-sektor industri yang saya sebutkan tadi. So tengok ada banyak, kalau satu company 5,000, dalam satu pelaburan first quarter pun dah 23,000. Sebab kita nampak 70% daripada tu adalah sektor perkilangan. Saya yakin pertumbuhan inilah yang mewujudkan ramai lagi peluang-peluang pekerjaan dalam sektor kejuruteraan. Dan bila saya sebut tentang perkilangan, saya sebut tentang manufacturing, saya sebut tentang industri kejuruteraan dan sebagainya, kita memerlukan tenaga yang berkemahiran. Sebab sebagai graduan lepasan SPM, bila memasuki kita panggil universiti, berada di universiti sama ada dalam program diploma, ijazah sarjana muda, ataupun kita panggil program-program yang you sambung selepas habis tamat pengajian you di peringkat degree dan sebagainya. So tujuan dia adalah nak melahirkan graduan yang berkemahiran, dan industri memang memerlukan graduan yang berkemahiran. Kita nak you ada skill, specialized skill yang you ada. Contoh kalau electrical, ada electrical dalam satu kita panggil satu website, okey, menyatakan bahawa antara kita panggil juruterawan dan sebagainya. Okey, kalau anak-anak nak tengok lebih detail mungkin boleh pergi kepada website yang mana menjurus kepada peluang pekerjaan jurutera tadi, kejuruteraan dan sebagainya. Okey, so ini membuktikan bahawa pelajar-pelajar berkemahiran, okey, terutama sekali dalam bidang kejuruteraan tadi, okey, you all mempunyai peluang yang hebat, okey, you all mempunyai peluang yang banyak, okey, di tahun akan datang. So apa yang you ambil hari ini? Sebab tu tajuk bila saya letak hari ini untuk masa depan adalah dalam konteks apa yang you pilih bidang hari ini adalah investment. Saya sebut tadi tentang pelaburan. Okay, bila negara melabur jangka masa panjang. Apa yang you ambil hari ini adalah pelaburan tentang teknikal. Bila saya sebut tentang kejuruteraan dan sebagainya. Okay, let me introduce you. Okay, university. Okay, Universiti Kuala Lumpur, university wholly owned by MARA, okay. Kita panggil the first technical university dalam Malaysia, okay. Kalau anak-anak di luar sana, okay, mungkin belum mengenali Universiti Kuala Lumpur, okay, sebuah universiti milik penuh Majlis Amanah Rakyat, okay. Kita cukup dikenali di bawah IPMA, okay, Institut Pengajian Tinggi di bawah MARA, okay. Dan kalau tengok Trust MARA, okay, antara Trust MARA adalah satu agensi, Majlis Amanah Rakyat adalah one of the agency under Kementerian Pembangunan Luar Bandar, okay. Dan salah satu trust utama MARA adalah dalam sektor pendidikan, okay. So, MARA mewujudkan banyak, okay, ruang-ruang dan peluang-peluang pelajar-pelajar, okay, untuk meningkatkan kemahiran, okay, untuk berada di institut-institut MARA bagi membentuk pelajar-pelajar dari segi kita panggil skill, okay, dari segi knowledge, dari segi kita panggil pembangunan pelajar, sama ada kurikulum dan sebagainya. So MARA wujudkan sekolah MARA, kita panggil MRSM, okay, mata rendah saya MARA. MARA wujudkan juga institut kemahiran MARA, okay. MARA wujudkan kolej-kolej kemahiran MARA, kolej profesional MARA. MARA wujudkan Universiti Kuala Lumpur, the one and only university belong to MARA. Okey, kenapa? Sebab inilah kita kata Trust MARA tadi mewujudkan kita panggil pendidikan ni kerana nak melahirkan graduan yang holistik, okey, graduan yang berkemahiran, graduan yang mempunyai segulung ijazah, diploma atau apa-apa saja background tetapi mampu menjadi bekalan kepada industri akan datang negara nanti, okey, industri negara akan datang, okey. Maksudnya kita adalah graduan yang MARA cuba hasilkan tapi memberi impak kepada negara ataupun kita panggil dalam sektor government, okey. Dan kalau tengok the unique of UniKL, okey, apabila MARA tubuhkan UniKL ni, okey, beberapa kerjasama yang MARA hasilkan dengan teknologi daripada beberapa buah negara. Okey, MARA mewakili kerajaan Malaysia, okey, dan juga ada beberapa teknologi, contoh kontes mewakili kerajaan Spain, okey. Kita tubuhkan universiti UniKL Malaysian Spanish Institute yang kita tempatkan di Kulim High-Tech Park. Okey, saya sebut tadi ATNS, okay, pelaburan di Kulim High-Tech Park. Saya sebut Spain, okey, kolaborasi antara MARA dan juga Spain, okey, kita wujudkan satu teknologi daripada Sepanyol dan sebagainya, kita letak di Kulim High-Tech Park. Inilah peluang pelajar sebenarnya. Selain daripada kita berada dalam multinational company bila kita bekerja, malah di peringkat pengajian, di peringkat universiti pun Mara telah wujudkan peluang kepada pelajar untuk mempelajari teknologi-teknologi yang kita panggil transfer teknologi yang Mara bawa pada luar, supaya knowledge, skill yang kita dapat tadi setanding yang kita boleh praktik di mana-mana multinational company yang ada di seluruh dunia dan juga di Malaysia ni sebenarnya. Okay? Dan banyak kolaborasi yang Mara hasilkan untuk wujudkan Universiti Kuala Lumpur ni sebenarnya. Okay? Kita ada UniKL MFI, Malaysian France Institute, kolaborasi antara Mara dan juga France Teknologi, kita bawa ke sini. Okay? Korean, okay? Kita ada Russian, okay? Ada banyak sebenarnya, Italy Design dan sebagainya. Okay? Dan we are the first technical university in Malaysia. Okay, bila kita wujudkan technical university ni, okay, Mara wujudkan technical university sebab tu pada awal Universiti Kuala Lumpur turut dikenali sebagai Universiti Technical Mara. Okay, dan dinamakan sebagai Universiti Kuala Lumpur because of kita nak berada pada international punya platform. Okay, memang betul hari ini dibuktikan bahawa Universiti Kuala Lumpur satu-satunya universiti yang mempunyai kolaborasi dengan Europe Commission, okay, untuk program International Student Action Mobility di bawah skim Erasmus Mundus. Okay, saya tunjuk nanti apa yang saya masukkan tentang Erasmus Mundus, apa yang saya masukkan tentang International Scheme Action Mobility nanti. Okay, alright. Dan juga kita dikenali sebagai Government Link University. Okay? Satu universiti iaitu ada hubungan direct dengan kerajaan ataupun kementerian yang saya sebutkan tadi. Bila saya sebut Universiti Kuala Lumpur adalah universiti milik penuh Majlis Amanah Rakyat, Mara adalah sebuah agensi di bawah Kementerian Pembangunan Alam Bandar, kita turut dikenali sebagai Government Link University ataupun GLU. Dan kalau tengok dari segi status sekarang, statistik sekarang, pelajar keseluruhan UniKL kita mempunyai lebih daripada 20,000 pelajar dalam satu masa di semua kampus UniKL, dan kita ada lebih daripada 130 program undergrad, iaitu
Alright, I think there seemed to be a technical glitch with Mr. Soyardi's internet, but no worries. I'll wait for him to come back. Let's just take a quick look and see what UniKL offers you. It seems that Mrs. Shirley is not back in the stream yet, but no worries. Let's just go on a quick break and come back right after this. Hi, Mr. Sirdi.
Hai Nina.
Hi. Yeah, I think there have been a technical glitch. Mr. Sirdi, due to time constraint,
Okay.
yeah, could it be possible that if you just shared the last few slides because we have to end the session at 4? Is that possible?
Okay, sure. Okay,
All right.
bagi pelajar-pelajar yang ingin mendapatkan maklumat lanjut, okay, can you see my slide, Nina?
Not yet, Mr. Sirdi. You have to share it. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, bagi pelajar-pelajar yang ingin mendapatkan maklumat lanjut, okay, mungkin tadi ada masalah teknikal, okay, saya pun tak perasan apa yang berlaku di sini sebenarnya tadi, okay, boleh menghubungi saya ataupun pegawai-pegawai Universiti Kuala Lumpur, okay, di Chancellery dan sebagainya, 0129623972, okay, banyak sebenarnya information yang saya nak sampaikan di sini, okay, dan juga pelajar-pelajar lepasan SPM, okay, bolehlah mula memohon untuk pengambilan Julai ataupun pelajar-pelajar bachelor untuk pengambilan September 2021 boleh memohon melalui www.unikl.edu.my. Okay, saya rasa itu saja perkongsian daripada saya secara ringkas. Okay, kalau ada kesempatan untuk Nina berkongsi sedikit video yang saya sampaikan kalau ada masa lah Nina, okay?
Boleh.
Sharing video daripada
Okay.
situ. Okay.
All right. Okay. Just a quick look at UniKL MSI virtual tour. right, there you have it, a quick look into UniKL MSI. To say truly sorry for the time constraint, but just to wrap
It's
things
okay.
up quickly,
Yeah, sure.
just to wrap things up, do you have any parting words of advice for students who are anxious about this next big step in their journey?
Okay, thank you Nina. Okay, untuk pelajar-pelajar lepasan SPM, saya mengharapkan pelajar-pelajar cari peluang untuk menyambung pengajian, terutama sekali dalam bidang-bidang dia kata mempunyai keupayaan untuk you all mendapatkan peluang pekerjaan dalam tempoh yang saya katakan 2004 dan 2024 dan ke atas. Okay? Dan semoga pelajar-pelajar dia kata mempunyai tuah yang baik, okay? Sebab kita tengok ekonomi kita upside down dan sebagainya, okay? Dan seterusnya sentiasa menjaga kesihatan, okay? Dalam pandemik COVID sekarang, okay? Good luck, all the best. Okay, itu saja Nina.
All right, thanks so much, Mr. Suyardi, for your insights and perspective. Even though the video was cut short in anyway, but I hope that our audience has gained some valuable information, the first half of it. If there's any questions, do visit UniKL's virtual booth at the fair itself or visit UniKL's website to learn more about the programs available. Mr. Suyardi, it's been a pleasure to have you on board with us. Really sorry for the inconvenience, but we'll be pleased to have you again for our next webinar if you have us.
Yeah, thank you, Nina. Thank you, you too. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mrs. Reddy. All right, thanks so much to our audience for joining our webinar session with Mr. Suyardi Omar of UNIST Kuala Lumpur. Up next, we have Ms. Irene Omar from Redbeat Academy, who will be sharing with us on the future of learning in a digital world. Now, if you're at the fair, don't forget to check out UniKL while you're there. Now, to hop on to our next session, good evening for those of you who just tuned in. And welcome to EduAdvisor's webinar series, part of the EduAdvisor Virtual Education Fair, where academicians and industry professionals will be weighing in on a number of topics, ranging from choosing an education pathway to jobs and careers. My name is Nina, I'm your host for today, and we have Ms. Irene Omar, President of Asia Digital, who will be sharing with us about the future of learning in a digital world. Now, we have a speaker in here with us. I'll just pull her stream right in. Hi, Ms. Irene.
Hello, how are you?
How are you? I'm good. All right, so a pleasure to have Ms. Irene with us today. But just a quick background about our esteemed speaker today. Ms. Irene Omar is Asia Group's president, Asia Digital. She's responsible for Asia's digital strategy, promoting innovation throughout the group and encouraging collaboration across Asia's business and market. She oversees large digital strategic group-wide initiatives to help transform Asia Group into a global, cloud and data-driven and platform company. At Asia Digital, Ms. Irene is also pivotal in incubating and growing the digital and fintech business, such as BigLife, BigPay, Teleport, Sendtime, and in transforming aasia.com into more than just an online platform. Now, before we begin to our live audience watching, if any questions from Ms. Irene, do leave a comment. I'll get them answered at the end of the session. Also, don't forget to check out Redbeat Academy's virtual booth while you're at the fair. Ms. Irene, I see that your slides are prepared, but before we get on to your session, let's take a quick look and see what Redbeat Academy has prepared for you.
Looking for the next step in your digital career? Redbeat Academy will lead you the way. Get a head start with our comprehensive and compact courses. Be industry ready in no time and start building your digital career. Choose from our wide variety of courses like digital marketing, data analytics, software engineering, and more to upskill or reskill yourself. Redefine your digital journey with Redbeat Academy today at redbeatacademy.com.
All right, there you have it, a quick look into Redbeat Academy. Ms. Irene, I'm going to pull your slides into the stream, and whenever you're ready, you can take it away.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and a very good afternoon, and congratulations for graduating from secondary school. So I am Irene Omar, and I run AirAsia Digital. So what is AirAsia Digital? AirAsia Digital is where I run businesses that is not airline related, but is focused on building new digital businesses where we feel we can be more than just an airline. So the business under my care are airasia.com, where now we call it AirAsia Super App. And then we have a logistic company called Teleport, which was our cargo department, and we built into a business around it because we saw the opportunity to be more than just a cargo department. We saw the opportunity to build a good logistic business in the region where we transport goods that you see people buying in e-commerce from one country to another, and we actually also provide the door-to-door delivery as well. And then we have this fintech business called BigPay. So all these businesses that we created actually started because we built AirAsia as the largest low-cost carrier in the world. We are very well known in the region. We reach out to over 600 million population in Southeast Asia. And Southeast Asia meaning Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, the whole of Southeast Asia, Singapore. And also in China, we reach out to Korea and also Australia. So we have over 360 routes. And a lot of people actually visit our website. We have over 50 million unique visitors that visits us each month. And because of that, we saw the opportunity that what we can do more than just flying people from one place to another place. What can we be than just an airline? What can we do with all the assets that we have created, with the brand that is well known, that is known worldwide, not just in Southeast Asia, with the markets that we have accessibility to, and we have huge market share in all the countries that we're in, and people know us, we're a household name. And also the fact that we have a huge number of users, number of people who fly with us, who look at our website and so forth. And that began our digital journey, our whole digital transformation of what we think, what we can do than just flying people around. So we decided we can be more than that. With the huge data that we have, and I'm just repeating this data because data is becoming a real asset for most companies these days, especially for us, when we have a huge consumer base and people that we can reach out to. So with this huge data that we have, how do we build new businesses around it? How do we cross-sell things with the number of traffic and users that comes into our website, into our mobile app, and so forth? How do we provide them with a seamless journey in terms of paying those transactions so they don't have to worry about so many things? How do we help them transport the goods, not just themselves when they fly somewhere, right? So if you buy something in an e-commerce platform in China, how can that be delivered right to your doorstep? And this is where Teleport will come and help you deliver those goods. So in that digital journey that we have, which started 3 years ago, we saw the opportunity of what these data assets can build new businesses around our airline. And hence the mission for us to be more than just an airline, to be a travel and lifestyle tech. And in that mission, we discovered that we need to restructure our whole organization. We need to restructure our technology team, because whatever that we had before, it's now considered traditional and old-fashioned. We needed to hire data scientists. We needed to hire cloud infrastructure specialists. We needed to hire cybersecurity experts. We needed to hire more digital marketing experts. We needed to hire web designers and product UI UX, and also software engineers to develop all these exciting things that we're building. And if you look at our website, it's no longer selling AirAsia flights. It has become a super app. We sell not only flights, we sell other people's flights, we sell hotels, we sell activities at the destinations or cities that we have presence. We sell e-commerce products such as groceries and also food delivery and all these beauty products that we were selling on board, but now we are able to sell them on ground to everyone here. So there's so many exciting opportunities that we discovered in this digital journey. But in order to make that happen, we need those talents. And to tell you the truth, with me driving this digital journey, it is not easy to find talent. It is not easy to find the right talent in this part of the world, that we had to source talent from outside. We had to steal people, pinch them from other companies, any company around the world who's looking at digitally transforming themselves, who's embracing the digital economy, or who is looking forward to embracing the industrial revolution of 4.0. Everyone in the world is looking for the same talent to help them become more data-driven, to help them become more digitally savvy so they can survive in this economy. And you know what? The fact that we started earlier before COVID, we were able to survive, because if not, we will struggle. Because as you see during the pandemic, borders are closed. We cannot fly anywhere. So we're stuck. So we cannot earn anything because we cannot fly people. So what do? Thank God we actually created these digital businesses where we could continue to build and at a speed that we need to, because what's the point of having a 5-year roadmap when we could squeeze everything into 9 months since nobody is flying? Let's repurpose the resources that we have to help build all these businesses. And by repurposing the resources that we have, including what can we do with the current talent that we have in our company? What can we do with the pilots, the cabin crew, the engineers, the operations control people who no longer can do their jobs, but how can they help us with this digital journey and help us grow in the speed that we need to? And how do we reskill them? And that begins my presentation, or what it means by the future of learning in the digital world. So if I move to the next slide, I hope everybody can see this. This shows what we have done in that course since last year in getting the right talent. What we did was, like I mentioned, we had to restructure our own tech team because they were all traditional, old-fashioned. It was business as usual. It was ICT kind of business. But we needed digital marketeers. We needed data scientists. We needed web designers. We need software engineers the most, basically. How do we build this talent pipeline so that we're not subjected to always trying to steal from other people all around the world? How can I build this talent pipeline? Like how, when we first started as a low-cost carrier, we built a talent pipeline of pilots. So we take them after school, like you, from SPM, put them into cadet program for about 18 months, and then they go into a simulation program at our Aviation Academy. And then from there, they graduate, become first officers, become senior officers, become captain, hub captain, management pilot, chief operating officer, even CEOs, examiners, instructors. So we give them a whole career path just by having that Aviation Academy, because we know we need a talent pipeline of pilots. Now, in this new era of us doing digital businesses, we need that tech talent. So how do we build that own tech talent pipeline? This is where we decided to emulate what we did with the pilots. So together with our business partner, Google helps us build our digital transformation, and we work closely together in terms of where we need to build and where we need to focus and what projects we need, what sort of tools and modern technology we should be using, and how to use that data, and how to build our data scientists talent and make sure they have the right skill sets. So I told Google, I need to build our talent pipeline. I need to make sure the existing tech team that we have are world-class in nature. We need to design a co-curriculum, a structure for them to be able to know that they have a good career path as a technologist in our company. They come in from various backgrounds. How do we make sure that we train them so that they understand, firstly, the culture of AirAsia, the culture of team effort, the culture of being able to move fast and be agile, the culture of having an open mindset and, testing and explore new ideas, the culture of always wanting to learn and invent yourself, not just inventing new things for the company, but reinventing yourself with the right kind of skill sets. So we need to incorporate what they have in their own company and upskilling their own existing tech team. And how do we structure that and put it together with our own people's department and tech heads to create a nice structure for our tech talent to be able to grow and be a world-class in nature. Secondly, as we become more and more tech-driven or data-driven, we'll be using a lot of machine learning, building algorithms and so forth. So naturally, a lot of people in the traditional line of work will have to be redeployed. So how AirAsia Group, as a responsible employer, help them to reskill themselves? They have no tech background whatsoever. How, as a responsible employer, we help them to reskill themselves? So firstly, they can enjoy and be part of the digital journey that we have. And secondly, how can they actually have the right kind of tech talent and so forth, so that they can be job ready and they can be part of where we need to fill the position most, because there's huge vacancies in software engineer, huge vacancies in digital marketing, in product UI UX, in cybersecurity, in cloud infrastructure. Cloud is really important because 90% of what we do now is all on cloud already, and soon will be 100% cloud. And it's important to be, for us, it's important to be that way because we can be more agile and we can make decisions real time and be able to source all the various data from every business to understand what we need to do best. Yeah. So that's the journey that we started in terms of the reskilling. How can we help all these pilots, cabin crews, people in the commercial team, people in airport partnership, all this traditional line, to help them get the right skill sets so they can help us in our digital journey? And this is where we co-develop this co-curriculum with Google, with our tech head of departments, to actually take great care in the co-curriculum, because I told the tech head of department, we better design something that you will hire, because there's no point we design co-curriculum where when our staff graduate, you don't want to take them in. So this happens actually early last year, a week before the first lockdown in Malaysia. We open up this reskilling courses to everyone in AirAsia Group. We didn't care whether they have a tech background or not. We want them to embrace this in a big way and make it fun for them. We weren't strict, so we open it up. So what we did was, those with non-tech background, we actually make you be a little bit more tech savvy and have you exposed to all the relevant tech courses and so forth. So they will go through this digital fundamental course. And once they graduate from this digital fundamental course, which takes about 1 month to 3 months, depending on how fast they want to learn, because some of them do it part-time. Some of them who are so eager to learn everything, they can finish it within 3 weeks or less. Some do it in a month or so, but we let it be. And then once they have graduated from the digital fundamentals, we told them, you can now go on to a specialized tracks of your choice. And we have 6 tracks for you to choose: digital marketing, software engineering, product UI UX, data analytics and data engineering, cloud infrastructure, and information and cybersecurity. So each track will have its own time period that you need to complete. And the most wonderful thing about each of those tracks is that you have a capstone program where you will work closely with a head of technology in the various line of businesses in some of the projects that they're building. So you're part of the team. So you'll be there between 2 to 3 months and so forth. So you have real life experience of what the problem is, what are we supposed to develop, how to work as a team, not just among your tech colleagues, but also the business users, the commercial team, with Big Boss Tony as well, because he's always pressuring us, I need this by tomorrow or by yesterday or something like that, basically. So you learn so many things. It's not just the technical skills that you'll be enhancing from what you have learned in that long tracks. And once you have graduated from that specialized track, we give you 3 options. I gave all these all-stars 3 options. You could go back to where you were before, whether you were a cabin crew or a pilot or in a commercial team or in accounting, but you should be using your knowledge and be more data-driven. And this is part of the digital journey, digital transformation, right? Secondly, you could choose and work in a project, because we have hundreds and hundreds of projects, because I mentioned to you, right? Azure Digital now is building a super app platform, is building fintech, is doing logistics and door-to-door deliveries and so forth. So there's so many projects that you could be part of. And the third option is a complete career change. You start in the department of the tech units of your choice, whether it's digital marketing, whether it's software engineering or cybersecurity and so forth. But of course, you will start from the beginning because it's a complete career change, right? Which a lot of people don't really mind, because when we had our aviation academy, we encourage people to reinvent themselves. So we had dispatch boys or baggage handlers or people in accounting becoming pilots. So when they become pilots, they have to start again from scratch. So it's the same here as well. You don't start with completely from scratch, but at least at the junior level. And then naturally, if you learn fast, and then you could actually speed track your whole career and so forth. So that's what we did. And now we're on to the second batch. And what you see, the numbers on the left-hand side are those numbers when we first launched back in March 2020. And these were what happened from that batch that just came in. And a lot of them has graduated. The first to graduate is digital marketing, and we're able to house them in all the various departments that need digital marketing. So it's very interesting to see how we manage to reskill our own staff who are of traditional background to become software engineers. You have pilot who's doing coding right now. We have aircraft engineer who's doing software engineering or even cybersecurity. You see Hazrik here, who is our baggage handler, and he's actually a data analyst. So he's about to finish his course, and he will soon become a data analyst. And a cabin crew who's also a data analyst, and it helps them in their own work should they want to fly in the future. They'll be able to know, okay, this passenger has this data, and this is how I need to serve this passenger, and how do I need to be able to make sure it's a seamless experience just based on the data and the behavior that we know about that passenger and so forth. So even here you see one who is a traditional security officer. If you go to the airport, you would see there's a security officer that will check the baggage handling, check the guest, the check-in counter. He will go to the apron in the airport and will check to see the aircraft. There's no one trying to tamper with the aircraft and so forth. So one Muiz was that, and now he's reskilling himself to be a cybersecurity expert. So the future of learning really is to understand what is the current demand and needs to survive in this digital world, and what kind of courses that could help you equip with those kind of skills so that you can be job ready and you could get there fast and build a career fast, because these jobs are high in demand and everyone around the world are looking for them. And I'm not lying, because these are actually courses or skills that people are looking all around the world. And these are skills that we have found from the latest data from LinkedIn that shows the most demanded skill sets are mostly digitally related. And if you could see, it's focusing a lot on software engineering and programming and cloud and all the program languages and data. Data is really key as well. I mean, in every aspect that we do, we make sure that we understand that data and make use of it so that we can be more efficient, we can be more productive, and we can be more personalized in our targeting for selling things to you, so that you don't get everything under the sun that you don't want, basically. So as you could see also, it's in line with the shift of demand of new jobs in Malaysia as well. 8 out of 10 emerging jobs are all tech related. So we need to make sure the population is ready for this. It's not just AirAsia, but anyone who is embracing the digital economy should be ready and be able to have a certain tech skills to help them have a great career in the now and also in the future. So what is the future of learning in digital? Using modern technology and tools, right? We see that students these days are more tech savvy than teachers. Students these days are more collaborative, and they like to use the tools to be able to help them learn and so forth. And I think this is something that needs to be incorporated in the digital learning or in any form of education that we have, whether it's high school or primary school or university or even professional certification like what we're offering and so forth. We need to be able to understand the needs and the wants of the students and make sure we have the right course for them, make sure there's proper planning and the right kind of grading and so forth, so that it's a seamless and the most enjoyable experience for the student, basically. So we use the right kind of technology tools. We actually use the data that we have in understanding what the student needs and wants are and what will make them tick in terms of learning. So we are always optimizing the learning experience and making sure they have the right kind of courses and the right kind of teacher, and be able to collaborate also with the community of learners, right? Because if you see these days, learning is not just classroom training, whether it's online or offline. It's also about how to solve a problem and trying to source that solution outside. So you see a lot of crowdsourcing of solutions happening around the world these days. You have a problem, you put it on the site of a forum, of a tech forum, and people will come and be more than happy to help you address that problem. So it's a collaborative community type kind of training. And the fact that if you have this on this digital learning, how do we make sure that the content is right? And how is it scalable so that you'll be able to enjoy all sorts of content, not just the one that you choose, but things that could complement what you learn. And things that could help you on the other non-tech skills as well, like expressing yourself well, so you could be able to express the project you're developing. Because this is what we notice, right? Most technologies also, they're not very good at expressing themselves. They're good at building things, but they should be able to express themselves well to be able to make people understand what they're building and how useful it could be. Basically. And also, we want to be sure that the future of learning is not just digital or collaborative or you have access to unlimited content and so forth, but it must be accessible and it must be affordable. And this is what AirAsia Group is all about. As you know, our tagline, everyone can fly, and we always offer affordable flights. So whenever we do new businesses, it's the same thing. We reach out to the masses. It needs to be affordable pricing for everyone, including the courses that we have and that we develop to ensure that the right kind of talent is there to build the nation. And this is Redbeat Academy, supporting your future learning. We have proven that what we are doing, which we tested on our own staff, actually makes you job ready, and we're able to use them across various departments where we need to fill in the gap in terms of talent. It's wide reach, it's accessible and affordable and inclusive. That is really key for us. Accessible in the sense that you could actually be able to learn at any time, at your own pace. Affordable because the pricing is there for you to be able to afford it, and you could pay accordingly, not just in one lump sum. Also, I mean, we are making also opportunities for people to be able to pay in installment, and hope that's something that we will be able to offer in the future as well. And it's time efficient, right? The courses that we created needs to be relevant. It needs to make us job ready. It needs to be able to help immediately. It needs to be able to make sure that you get the right kind of employers to come and hire you. And this is where at Redbeat Academy, we also will help with job placements as well. And the most important thing is collaborative education with the community around you. And that's the best way to learn. To work with the community, to share ideas, to brainstorm. You can't learn just by yourself reading a book or just listening to instructors. A lot of things that you could learn the best and the most innovative and creative ways sometimes is through sharing of knowledge and sharing your ideas of what could be a good invention and so forth, and get feedback coming from it. And this is what Redbeat Academy is all about. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And to me, this is what the future of learning is about in the digital world. It should be relevant. It should be building the right kind of mindset, which means it's not just building the tech skills that it needs, but also the kind of soft skills or management skills or communication skills that's required for you to survive in this world, basically, and to be able to adapt and move fast. So that's my presentation, and I'm more than happy to answer anybody's questions.
All right. Thanks so much, Ms. Irene, for that detailed and inspiring explanation about Redbeat Academy and all the courses that students can pursue. Let's go over the questions. You might look at the comment section. You have to scroll down a little bit to get to your part of the questions.
Okay. Where do I scroll down? Sorry.
At the comment section, says you're divided by private.
Yes, sorry. I just was at the private chat. Okay. Questions. Let's see. It's Redbeat Academy certification recognized everywhere. Yes, I believe it is recognized because we recognize them, and it's also recognized by Google. So the co-curriculum is actually something that we work closely with Google, and the certification for those. What is really interesting also is that we are working with several universities, such as UTM, APU, Imperial College in London, ASB, Asia School of Business, which is MIT, Sloan School of Management branch in Asia. We're actually working with several universities here locally as well as internationally for them to look at our courses where they're giving micro credentials. So they map the courses that we have against theirs. And what they tell us is that as soon as anybody graduates from our courses, they can pursue further studies, whether they want to do a master's or a bachelor's or whatever of that, easily at UTM, APU, and so forth. And so that's where we're always striving to strive quality and certification and so forth, so that it's recognized. And the Ministry of Education is also recognizing our tracks and co-curriculums. So they're looking at ways in terms of how we could help with reskilling the population as well. That's also something that we're working with MITE and MOSTI, Ministry of Science and Technology. So yes, you shouldn't worry about this. This is something that I take great care to make sure that we are of good quality, and there'll be many more universities that we're collaborating with, that people, if they want to pursue further, they can with these universities and so forth. And the good thing about these universities, some of them are offering capstone program that you could be part of, like Imperial College is looking at like, okay, how can they offer research as capstone program for some of the tracks that they're doing and so forth.
All right. Miss Irene, you might want to scroll down a bit further down. The questions for your sessions are a bit recent.
From which one?
It's right after Stacy. You have to scroll down. It's the first one addressing to you, Miss Irene, based on your observation.
Okay. Based on your observation, how do you see the digital world of businesses and jobs changing for the near future to come? I see this as a high growth area because it's just fast moving, it's fast paced, right? And the jobs changing in the future, meaning that, technology jobs will always be there. When I say technology jobs, would mean data scientists or data engineers or data analysts or software engineers or coders or cybersecurity. I think that's going to be a high growth area as well, because as people become more and more digital in the way they work or build their companies, you need to make sure that your business operations and your company is protected. So cybersecurity is something that I think is very important. Digital marketing, everybody is now looking at ways in terms of how to market their products in the e-commerce business, right? Because it's booming so fast. And how do you reach out to consumer with all your digital marketing efforts, right? So that will always be key. And a lot of this work would be requiring you to understand data better. So that's why data science, data engineer will always be a high growth one, that and cybersecurity, because they will always support all the other work, even other technologies are working on. Basically. And then new innovations and inventions as well. So all the courses that I mentioned where we reskill our own staff, those are high growth in demand and you could never go wrong. People will always be looking for those, basically.
Okay. Right.
Okay, then what advice would you give to girls and young ladies out there who aspire to be like you? Okay. I think what you need to do is always have an open mind, right? Because you could never think that you know everything. You could never know everything. And there's always something to learn every day. Have an open mind, be humble, and always think of yourself as an individual and be the best version of that. Don't think of yourself as I'm a girl first or I'm a woman first. And how does that fit in this job that I'm doing or in the meeting that I'm about to attend or the project that I'm developing? Never think gender first, right? Always think yourself as I am an individual and these are my qualities and these are my skill sets. And how can I make the best of those and be the best version of myself and beat the expectation of people out there? And when you think that way, everything will come naturally. And you don't even realize whether there's so many men or women out there or whatsoever. Okay? Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. In a time where employer prefers practical skills, is it better for students to just forego the traditional degree and choose micro-credentials? No, this is really up to you. Some people are pressured to get a job immediately. And they need a job not just because they need to earn money, but how can they get a job that can be meaningful for them and they can have meaningful careers? And this is where professional certifications like what we're offering at Redbeat Academy can help. But some people want to have the whole education experience of university and build their network, build friends, and so forth. And that's nothing wrong with that because I went through that as well. So if you're not pressured by any form of having the right skill sets and needing to learn or earn money and so forth, and you have the time in your life to be able to to enjoy and have the resources to do so, traditional degree, go ahead. There's nothing wrong with it. It helps you to be structured in the way you think. It helps you to be analytical and critical and so forth. Now, the micro credentials and the professional certificates that we do, it helps you to be job ready. It helps you to be problem solvers. It helps you to understand what the current needs and what the job market is. So you're prepared immediately to get in there and be able to build that skill sets and work with people and have a career growth if that's important to you now. So there's no right or wrong in either way. It's what you feel is the best for you and how you want to contribute in the economy faster, or if you feel like, okay, I want to develop myself first and as a person, and I have all the time and the world. I wouldn't say all the time, but I'm not time constrained to start a career and so forth. So that's just the difference. It's just your choice.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Here it says, this is question from Nate. You said you had to source talents from outside. What are some of these jobs that Malaysia is still struggling to provide talents for? Data scientists, that's number one. Cyber experts, that's also number one. Software engineer, yeah. Software engineer is very tough to get a good software engineer, someone who could see the whole thing and be able to know how to develop it. It's not just about coding, yeah. So because of this, a lot of companies in Malaysia are actually setting up shop in India, in Vietnam, now even in Eastern European countries like Romania. Because of the talent there is abundant. Russia is another one as well. Tech talent is abundant, and so that's where they could get easy access to it, because here it's quite difficult, and that's not a lot, right? Everyone that's good has been taken up, and they probably jump from one company to another company, and that sort of thing. So whatever that we have in our courses that I mentioned, the 6 key tracks, those are the jobs that AirAsia needs. And we know that if we need them, those who are experiencing digital transformation or going all out in the digital economy and participating in it would need those too.
All right.
Hi, Miss Irene. Obviously, an innovative mind is required to stay relevant in the ever-changing world. How do you develop that mindset? How do I develop that mindset? The first thing is always have an open mind.
Right.
You cannot know everything. My background is economics. I did a Bachelor's of Science in Economics and I did a Master's in Economics. And then as soon as I graduated, I went to investment banking. I started on the trading floor. All of these are all finance-related work. And then I moved to an airline, which I've never really quite heard of, but I thought it was an exciting business model that they're building. And then I led the corporate finance team over there. And my job at that point in time is to make sure that the company has got enough money to expand the business regionally. So that was my job, right? So then from there, then I became the CEO of the airline. Again, right? I never had an airline background. So and then from there, I was asked to lead the digital transformation of AirAsia Group. And I got no tech background. But what did I do? Have an open mind. Read a lot of books, or, there's a lot of forum out there that you could be part of. Speak to the right people. I spoke to so many technologists, specialists, people who are successful in their digital business. I asked them, how do they go about doing this? What do they do? What do they need to do first? So speaking to, build your network and speak to the right people or so. So it's really important that you make a lot of effort yourself to learn, right? And there's a lot of knowledge out there. And all you need to do is just be engaged and know what's going on, and, be part of a community that you could debate and brainstorm. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. After attending your courses, are we ready to sit for professional certifications from Microsoft? I'm sure you do, but you may need to, maybe not all of these courses, so I'm not so sure whether the cloud infrastructure for Microsoft, you would be able to get that certification. But we're offering also cloud courses, not just Google Cloud. Soon we'll be offering Microsoft as well. So it really depends on what you want to do. But if you're doing data or software engineering, it really doesn't matter. You could just get a job whether the company is Google based or Microsoft based or whatever cloud infrastructure that they use, because what we're teaching you is a relevant skill set, agnostic, that you could apply anywhere, basically. Okay. Are your cybersecurity courses industry recognized from ISACA and ISC2? So we are on progress on this. We're working with CompTIA and many other areas as well, so that we are on the route for those, basically. Okay.
Perfect. A couple more.
Hi, Miss. As more and more people are incited through various sources to join the IT field, will that field become something not as needed by the time we're ready to work? As in maybe to no, not really. No, you will always need this field, basically, right? The people who were programmers of many years ago are still learning new program languages. So you will always, it's always there. So you don't have to worry, basically. And some of the courses that we offer also are to upskill those who are currently in the tech field. So they will always learn new languages and the latest modern technology and so forth. So I wouldn't think that you will not be relevant in just a short period of time. Okay. What's AirAsia next focus? Anything the students interested in working there can prepare for? Like I mentioned, the next focus is to build our digital business. That is very exciting. If you look at our app or website, it's becoming a super app. Of course, you can't fly, but there's many other things that you could do, and there's a lot of things that we need to improve, basically. And we are looking at many things as well that make it seamless journey for our own passengers or consumers or users, as they call it now. How do we incorporate their natural behavior so it's a seamless experience for them, right? Whether we use facial recognition or voice activation. So it's going to be a whole disruptive way that we're working towards too. So just watch out for what we're building and as and when we launch it. From Stacy. Hi, Miss. Thank you for sharing. Would employers hire non-degree holders but with relevant certificates like from Redbeat Academy, and what is AirAsia's policy? We hire them as long as you have the right skill sets and you could work immediately. We're more than happy to hire you. And we're working with the Ministry of Education also, those who may not go on to do their university degree or so. We work with them to be able to get that right skill sets that could put them on the job, not just AirAsia, but outside as well. So that's something that we're working closely with Ministry of Education. So you don't have to worry about it. Definitely, we know there are companies out there who needs these skill sets immediately, and it's not like they can wait for 3 months, right? Sometimes some companies need it now. So we're helping to match that. Okay.
Right.
And then there's a last one from Mega. Will artificial intelligence will take over in terms of human interaction and service providing in order to reduce human contact due to, I wouldn't think it's completely will take over. I think you still need some humanized aspect of your day-to-day lives, but areas where we can, where we could cut down the process, where we could have more accurate information and be faster at that processes or and speed to market and so forth. So yes, we will work on AI, on machine learning, and even facial recognition, right? How do you recognize a face and say, okay, this is the right face, this is the right kind of identity. You don't need to check in and line up. just look at the face, and then you go straight into the immigration and right down to the airlines, right? So there are many things you could do with AI, but I wouldn't think it's a complete AI. Not yet. I don't think the world is ready for a complete AI. But majority of it can be replaced with AI and machine learning and all that. Okay.
Miss Irene, I do have one question on my end, if that's all right. While I was listening to your presentation, it seems that almost everyone can take the courses at Redbeat Academy, and like what you've shown, cabin crew, security officers, and but with all the computer science modules, cybersecurity for one will require a strong math background. So does one need a strong math background to pick up a course at Redbeat? How do students, with full math skills who came from the art stream, can apply
We'll
and
teach.
adapt?
The courses will have that. It will teach you to make sure that you actually have the right kind of training for you to be able to be on the job as and when you graduate or get hired, basically. So there are maths courses, there are stats courses. So it's there not just in cybersecurity, it's also in software engineering, it's also in data. So for data, it's mostly data analytics and data engineering. So data science, you may need to have a more formal learning of maths and operational research. So that's when you get your data science. So for us, it's like 3 months to 6 months. It's really data analytics and data engineering. And we want to go into a data science, and this is where our collaboration with universities will help you, like with UTM or UM and so forth. So at least when you go through our course, right, you get a job, you help work on the data analytics and so forth. You work with real people, with real jobs, with real projects. And then from there, you have an idea, hey, I want to be a data scientist. I want to be like a chief data scientist like Kong Wei, who's doing all this customer intelligence and knowledge graph, which is just mind-boggling and is just amazing. And that could trigger that interest to say, I need to go to UTM or UM to further my studies to do data science, to be a data scientist.
I see. All right. Thanks, Miss. I think that answers my question perfectly. I don't think we have any more questions from the audience. I think that comes to the end of our session. But just to wrap things up quickly, Miss Irene, do you have any parting words of advice for SPM leavers, specifically who are anxious to take on this big next step?
I think the world is your oyster, so don't be afraid. Always try new things, right? Because by trying, you'll be surprised of the many different opportunities that it presents itself to you. And there will be challenges along the way. So don't be afraid of that, right? I wouldn't be where I am today if I don't face a lot of the challenges.
Right.
But it's how you manage that, and never give up, because every problem has a solution, right? And in every challenges, there are opportunities. So you just got to face head on and just handle it, and then you'll grow along the way.
All right. Thanks, Ms. Irene, for your insights and perspective, and that very inspiring talk at the end. We hope that our audience has gained some valuable information from this session on Redbeat, as well as the future of our tech and the job market. Ms. Irene, it's an honor to have you on board with us. It's very informative. I feel like I've learned a lot in this past 1 hour as well, and I hope our audience has too. Ms. Irene, if you have us again for our next session, it'll be great to have you back. Thank you so much, Ms. Irene.
Thank you, and good luck, everybody.
All right, bye, Ms. Irene. Thank you. All right, thank you to our audience for joining our webinar session with Ms. Irene Omar of Redbeat Academy. Now, if you're at the fair, do visit Redbeat Academy's virtual booth and check out all the offering programs that's available. And that's all we have for today. It's been a pleasure, and thank you to our audience for tuning in to EduAdvisor's webinar series. We hope that you gained some insightful and inspiring information to pursue your dream courses. Now, don't forget to check out EduAdvisor's virtual fair and get all the information you need. Tomorrow is the last day, so you better grab this opportunity. Just click chat on the respective universities or go onto info desk and speak to our counselors personally. I hope to see you again. Thank you for watching, and goodbye, everyone.